There is a beast which haunts my dreams. A monster. A creature with vacant, expressionless eyes, an enormous rectangular head, and an uncanny face made entirely of plastic. And yet, despite its unsettling nature, it is revered by many. Every night, I lie awake wondering, why? Why? God, why do people like this thing? What value do they find in this soulless corporate product? How can anyone like John Travolta? What? Anyway, Funko Pops. They're very popular. You might say they're a pop culture phenomenon. So why am I talking about these things? Am I just picking a topic that I know is going to get a lot of views? Well, yes, of course. But there's another reason. I don't like these things. I don't like them at all. But I don't necessarily hate them either. To be honest, that would be like hating some old man's flaccid penis. There's nothing to be angry about. It just makes you feel sad and uncomfortable when you look at it. And that's the thing. Much like an old man's wang, Funko Pops rub me the wrong way. However, unlike most penises, I find these things, and my reaction to them, fascinating in a certain way. Why? Why do they bother me so much? Before I go any further, if you collect these things, I bear you no ill will. I don't think you're an idiot, and I think you should be able to indulge in whatever hobby you want. I'm just explaining why I feel the way I feel. I know I'm basically just saying, hey, my opinion is my opinion, but some people really seem to struggle with any perspective that contradicts their own, and they need explicit reassurance that hearing different ideas isn't somehow altering their reality. So what's my problem with these thingies? Why does such an innocuous little plastic toy fill me with this strange sense of discomfort and even indignation? Why does seeing these massive pop collections on YouTube and other social media leave me feeling slightly offended? Well, I've always been a collector of things. I started collecting action figures when I was a kid, and I've continued to do so throughout my entire life in one fashion or another. When I was a teenager and going through my edgy phase, I started collecting knives as well. Yeah, you want to scare your parents? Start wearing all black, listening to death metal, and collecting sharp objects. Of course, now that I'm a mature adult and an intellectual, I collect figures of anime girls. Anyway, as a lifelong collector of small plastic people, I feel as though these things are, in some capacity, being marketed towards me. They've got tons of anime ones from shows I like, as well as characters from Western media that I'm a fan of. I am the target market here, and that's my first gripe with this stuff. The very blatant elevation of marketing above all else. It's all in the face. What's the first thing you look at when you see another human being? The fucking face. It's how we recognize people. Your brain isn't just capable of seeing faces, it is evolutionarily engineered to find them. That's why when you stare at a cloud or the spackle on your wall or pretty much anything, really, you start to see faces. It's amazing how little information your brain needs to interpret something as a face. That's what this is. The smallest amount of information needed to create a recognizable face. It's so simple and easily identifiable that even a child can see it and know it, and an unmistakable face means an unmistakable product. This is ruthlessly brilliant marketing. A product whose visual calling card is a simple, iconic version of the very thing the human eye is most apt at detecting. But see, that clever bit of marketing creates a really obvious problem. By giving all their figures the same face, they're robbing each individual character of their most important feature. Their fucking face! In creating the most recognizable line of figures in the history of collectibles, they've failed to do the one thing a figure is supposed to do above all else: represent the character it is portraying. If the character doesn't have a highly distinct outfit or hairstyle or some kind of other defining feature, you can't even tell who it is half the time. Who the fuck is this supposed to be? Who the fuck is this supposed to be? Jerry Seinfeld? How the fuck am I supposed to know? Seinfeld just wears normal clothes. He's not a superhero with the costume. Now, one could argue that at least back in the days of his TV show, he had a pretty recognizable hairstyle, but they didn't even do a good job capturing that in this sculpt here. This is just a guy. He's a guy in a suit with the microphone. Suit guy. He's suit, microphone guy. Get yours today. $10.99. Anyway, this is actually a worthwhile sacrifice for Funko, and there's an even bigger reason why. Most plastic junk collectors I know usually stick to either a certain franchise or type of media. Some people collect comic book figures, and may more specifically only buy those from Marvel or DC, or even from a particular series of books. Hey, it might even just be one character. In my early 20s, I had a collection of Harley Quinn figures, back before the character was ruined forever. Yeah. That's over. That shit is fucking over. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I collect anime figures, mostly Figmas. The characters are all from different shows, but they're all anime. They're all part of the same thing. It's a particular medium that I like, which lends some consistency to the collection. But see, rather than just make normal figures and sell specific ones to specific fandoms, Funko has combined all media in existence into a single meta franchise of which people can become fans in and of itself. Like I said before, it's brilliant. It breaks down all the barriers between different hobbies because it's a fandom dedicated to the one thing that fans of all media share: the concept of fandom itself. If you form a tangible association between everything, then you can sell anything to anyone, even things no one in their right fucking mind would ever want if they just existed in a vacuum. Just in case you were feeling confused or a bit strokey, yes, that is the Mexican dude from the Tapatio hot sauce bottle, a Hershey's Kiss, and that's not even a thing. That's not, White Castle doesn't even have a mascot, motherfucker. You made that shit up. That's just a burger. That's a burger in a cardboard box, and you are trying to sell me that shit for $11. I could go to White Castle right now and get like 15 of those little burgers for that amount of money. And why is he hungry? Why is he licking his lips? Why is a burger hungry? Is he gonna eat himself? White Castle, listen to me. You better call up Funko and tell them to check their shit because they're using your name to promote autophagia. Why does this bug me? Why should I begrudge this company their brilliant marketing scheme, especially when so many people clearly enjoy what they're putting out? And most importantly, what right have I to say anything when I collect shit like this? It just feels cynical to me, man. Now, before you say anything, I'm not naive here. Everything's a product. Everything's being sold to you. Anything you can grab off a shelf or order online is a commodity made by some company in the hopes that you'll spend your money on it. And most of the shit we buy is produced by massive conglomerates that don't give a fuck about us but for our next dollar. I know, our world is so steeped in corporate cynicism that we're numb to it at this point. And you see, that's just the thing. I'm so desensitized, it takes something pretty fucking egregious to genuinely bother me, and that's the greatest reason for my distaste towards Pops. The level of cynicism on display. There's no one thing I can point to, it's everything at once. The materials are cheap, the paint jobs are notoriously bad, a lot of the sculpts are really lazy, and of course they are because these things only cost $11 a piece. $11 a piece. I almost said Pop. You almost got me, you motherfucker. Why are they so cheap? So you can buy a fucking million of them. They make one of everything. More than one of everything, in fact. Every popular character gets a slew of different variations and special editions. Look at this. Look, how did they get away with this? And look, I'm not saying mass-produced junk can't be fun, but they don't even do anything. It's just a piece of plastic that stands there, and if you spend a little time reading through the forums and communities dedicated to these things, you'll find that a lot of them can't even do that. Look, anime statues can't move, but at least you can find ones with interesting, even artistic, show-accurate sculpts. A lot of action figures are cheap and have shitty sculpts and paint jobs, but at least they try to make them look like the character. And hey, you can pose them. They do something. Androids have big stupid heads and they distort the appearance of individual characters for the sake of creating a cohesive toy line just like Pops do, but they fucking look cool. They're well-made figures. They can do stuff. They've got little interchangeable faces and accessories and shit. I could go on, but you get what I'm saying. All figures are ultimately just little lumps of plastic. Anyone who collects in any capacity knows this. Every subcategory of plastic junk has its own problems, but Funko Pops have all of them. They are all the worst aspects of the hobby distilled into a single product. It is the concept of the collectible broken down to the most cynical possible interpretation of its essence. Mass consumption. They are designed and churned out to be bought in enormous quantity, not just by the fan base as a whole, but on an individual level as well. You're meant to just buy, display, and buy again. Come on. It's only $11 more. These are not works of art, they don't do anything, and they aren't even good representations of the characters you love. It's just a piece of plastic you can buy and put on a shelf next to a dozen others like it. If there's anyone listening who collects Pops, I want to ask you a question. If there wasn't a massive fan base surrounding these things, would you still buy them? If there wasn't a whole community of people out there that you could socialize and discuss your collections with and go through hype cycles with and all that shit, would you still buy these things? Would you collect them purely based upon their own merits as a product? And remember, I'm not attacking you. I'm attacking a corporation and its merchandise. If you find that personally insulting, you need to rethink some shit, because you should not form your identity around a commodity that you don't even produce yourself. I identify with you. I collect stupid shit too. It's fun. But if you're gonna do it, why this? Anything but this. It is soulless, both in visage and purpose. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching. And go fuck yourself.